And this one involves, we already talked a little bit about kayfabe, but now with WWE Unreal on Netflix, there's like an official, like, uh, like an official documentary there where basically like WWE's like, here you go. This is what we do. Here's where gorilla position is. Here's what wrestlers feel after the match. They talk about it. They go over it. So Paul Heyman, he has been on a little tour, basically talking about WWE. I think this is for the lead up to SummerSlam. And there was comments about asking his thoughts about WWE and Real on Netflix. So around the time of the initial announcement about WWE Unreal series on Netflix, one of the people who were asked their thoughts about was Paul Heyman. So now that the series is out, Heyman addressed it again during his appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, and this is what he had to say about it. It's a reality of the industry today that I have to accept. I grew up in this business at a time when if you're in a bar and someone walks up to you and says, you're in that fake wrestling business, and he did a southern accent when he said it. No offense to all the people from the South, but if you don't swing, if you don't defend the business and someone else sees it or finds out about it, you're catching an ass kicking and you're getting shipped out of the territory. That's the way it was back then. All these stories you hear of legendary bar fights of guys like Haku ripping people's eyeballs out. Show me how fake this is now, brother. That's how we were taught to defend the business, and we caught the ass kickings if we didn't defend the business. So that's where I grew up. So to now be in a situation where it's so open to where it's not just this is how the magic is done, but we're going to show you the wires and we're going to show you the crew that inserts the wires, show you the writing team meeting in which we discuss the wires to do the magic trick. Phew, that's an adjustment for me, and it's an adjustment that I have to make and accept because if I take the tactic of, wow, I'm not used to this, I'm not used to being so open and transparent about the inner workings and the secrecy. For so long, it was a secret society. It was a closed business, but then again, today, Sammy Gravano does a podcast. Michael Franzese does a podcast. John Alide does a podcast. All these gangsters sitting there going, yeah, so we clipped Mario and Rocco came in the room, and then we had to clip them. I liked Rocco. Yeah, I liked two. We had to kill him. Yeah, and he was my brother-in-law. So all these gangsters are revealing what it is. So it's so far more open and a transparent society, or at least we think it is. And I have to accept Unreal as part of the platform by which WWE is Disney-fied and picks up a streaming deal on ESPN. The way I look at it is this: I'm always going to be like this jump scare when I see a camera behind the scenes because I'm still not used to it, and I'm not going to have to get used to it, and I'm gonna have to get used to it because the train is leaving the station, and I want to be a part of, if not the conductor, I want to be one of the conductors or one of the top advisors to the conductors as to where the train is going. So we talked a little bit about this, and I feel like it's been a while since we have broached the subject. There have been enough episodes in between. So he talks about like defending the business back in the day. Do you feel like kayfabe is officially dead, or has it evolved into something new?
It's
Something new.
it's definitely evolved, yeah. Because I mean, now, like back then, you didn't have internet and social media, and like there's too much room now for stuff to leak and be shown and all these things. Everybody has a camera. It's not just closed door, just at the match. Maybe somebody random had like a video camera in the 90s, 80s, or whatever. Um,
Curtain call.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, the curtain call. Like it was like few and far between that stuff like that was happening. So there was probably a bunch of people who still thought it was real on some level. Whatever aspect they thought was real. They drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. But I think it's just harder now to kind of maintain that kind of secrecy, especially with again social media and the internet. So this is just a next step for them to like say, all right, well, this is how we do it. There's just more detail. You get to see a different side of everybody, all the wrestlers, all the people who are involved. So maybe, it's interesting to people because again, we're 2025. I don't think there's anybody that necessarily thinks that pro wrestling is not a predetermined event.
Right.
So
And I agree with that. And I feel like even back then, I mean, think about like Wrestling with Shadows, for example, right? Like that was a documentary with Bret Hart, and that was talking about the business the whole time, like the whole like knocking Vince out and like
We seen the locker room.
yeah, seeing the locker room, like the Undertaker and all those guys. Like Mankind isn't like some freak from a asylum,
Yeah.
like
He's not like sitting in a corner scratching his
yeah,
face,
exactly. Like he finishes the match and then just goes back to like scratch his face in a boiler room for the rest
eating
of the night, you
eating
know?
popcorn, drinking a Gatorade.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's Mick Foley. It's a guy in a mask, right? So, yeah, I feel like there was kayfabe, and I do think that it's morphed into something where I mean, it's like the things that we currently kind of talked about, like this Karrion Cross thing, the Seth Rollins injury angle where people thought he was injured for real. It's like now
Told you.
kayfabe has like morphed into like we know like it's a work, but now like there are these angles that kind of get like worked into a story
Or
where we don't know if this is real. Like, is there an actual contract dispute? Is he actually injured? Like, those are the kinds of things you're talking about, and that makes it interesting. And again, like you said, no one at least I don't think there's someone on this planet who still thinks that wrestling isn't predetermined. Maybe there
what do
is.
you mean?
Like,
I'm
there's
sure
always
there
got to
are.
be somebody. Yeah, I'm sure.
What do you mean?
No, sorry, news.
Huh?
But yeah, so
Oops.
I feel like yeah, I feel like it's just morphed into something different. Um, and yeah, I just had like a brain fart about where I was going. I had this whole interesting spiel and I just forgot about it.
Nice.
But yeah, so like I said, like the Karrion Cross thing, the Seth Rollins stuff, like it's just morphed into something different. And I feel like with Unreal, the documentary, I think there was a level of reality there. There was absolutely a level of reality there, but I think it was still like WWE what because it's WWE produced, so they're still the ones showing you like what they want you to see backstage. Like there was an episode, like I think the most interesting one was the CM Punk stuff. They did this little behind the scenes, like going over the Elimination Chamber, and he definitely should be a producer when he retires because he did that. Do you guys remember the Elimination Chamber match? And it was John Cena versus CM Punk at the end. And basically, he had like that whole finish. That was like his idea was like getting put in the STF. Seth Rollins was leaving, and then he had his neck on the rope, and then comes back to like curb stomp him. I think yeah, and then he pulls him back, and then does the STF. Like that was a cool spot. So yeah, like there's like you see those kinds of things, and like actual real emotion, like him main eventing WrestleMania. They show that with Paul Heyman, that kind of stuff. I think it's just like a nice thing to, I don't know. I think it's a nice thing to see. And again, it's not like something where if people don't want to see it, like no one is like strapping you a chair and play. If you just want to maintain that level of disbelief, anytime you watch it, you don't want to hear about it. You don't want to hear about it. I think the removal of the press conferences can kind of help with that because at least then it doesn't give folks like because like that thing, that critique that I had for like the John Cena thing and same press conference, The Rock, like John Cena's maintained character, and then The Rock, Cena or whatever, like just giving this whole shtick about like, uh, like this is a story and all that kind of stuff. And then John Cena's trying to maintain being a bad guy in the same press conference. Like, removing the press conference, I think will be a good thing just to maintain that level of disbelief. And again, it's a thing that you don't have to watch, um, but yeah, and
They,
in
like,
the yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was saying, but it's a thing not to watch, but yet they try to make us watch it.
Leave it
Yeah.
to the professionals in AEW who don't break character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just start 2.5 hours later.
Yeah.
I
So,
think I think
yeah.
another thing that I guess like stuff like this kind of shows is that the people who are the wrestlers are real. Not necessarily the wrestling
Mhm.
itself, but the wrestlers and all these people who are behind the scenes are real, and they have real emotion and all these things, and they're actually being affected by what's happening, in front of the camera and behind
Right.
it. So
Exactly. I mean, like the Cody Crybaby stuff, the Cody, we want Cody Road stuff, like that was real, like a real genuine, like Cody did want to like do this for his dad. Like that is a real thing that he wants to do. The match itself and when it happens, how it happens, of course, that is predetermined. But like the emotion from that, like the story that the thread of Cody's journey as like just being this like mid card wrestler most of his career, and then I mean the whole thing, like starting a new company, coming back, having this crazy ride that he's having right now, being the top guy. I mean, what a story, and that's all real. Like his struggles were real, and you're seeing that woven into the stories. Like it helps, it adds to it. Um, so do you feel like in terms of like the wrestlers, and I talked about like maintaining mystique and character protection, kind of like the Undertaker, do you think wrestlers should still maintain that level of mystique and character protection, or do you feel like full transparency is the future of the business?
I think you can weave, being in character with certain things that are, out of character or whatever. Or, like if they're talking about some kind of a personal thing, but if they're asked about the match or something, they're still selling it and how they're genuinely feeling and how the match should be going or whatever. So I think it's just you have to just thread a needle and kind of walk this tightrope of, still selling the match. If it's like MJF, for instance, when he was
Yeah, he's
interviewed
really
by
good.
Ariel Awani, like he was, uh, he is in character. I think even outside, so he's doing the whole kayfabe thing. So he does it really well. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just supposed to be this, tightrope thing now.
Hmm.
Is he working or is he shooting?
Right.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that makes it interesting, right? Like you don't
Right.
know
I don't,
what's real and what isn't.
I don't think Unreal really like other than like writers room stuff and Michael Ace being like, well, what about Jey Uso?
Yeah, exactly.
but like all the gorilla reactions, it's like they walked through gorilla 4 times and they put cameras through gorilla 4 times a freaking show now.
Yeah.
And then it's like all these docs, like it shows everybody in gorilla watching stuff. So it's like something like that. Who cares? Like a payoff of a match. Who cares? It's like you should see how the entertainer feels for the payoff of whatever the buildup was for. So it's just like,
And I also feel like even some of like that drama or that stuff that you see behind the scenes, I feel like that also story or it makes it more interesting. I'll say that. Like the Tiffany Stratton Charlotte Flair stuff was another part like of an episode there that, like she challenged Tiffany Stratton for it, and then when that happened, it became more interesting because there was that comments and that kind of stuff. So, you know, predetermined story, but real like issue that came up between them, and then it adds a layer of interest to it, for WrestleMania going in. Um,
and she chipped her veneers.
yeah, yeah. I think that was blood though. I think it looked like she chipped her, but
Oh,
that it was like blood in between her teeth, and yeah, because actually in Unreal, they were like, "Hey, did she like bust her tooth or something?" When because they were showing like Triple H watching the match, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I think she broke her tooth or something." And then she came in and she was apologizing. She was like, "No, I was just bleeding." Um, so yeah, I mean, when we watched it, I also thought, I'm like, "Damn, she's missing half her
She's,
teeth." I did it. Pull the rock.
Rocky
Um,
Balboa.
went from
yeah,
Minnesota to Wisconsin.
yeah. So what do you think about like the modern wrestling fan? Do you feel like they're more invested in the performance, or do you feel like they're invested in like the illusion of pro wrestling? Do you feel like the balance has shifted? Do you know what I mean when I say that?
I think it's
Yeah, I go ahead.
it's just dependent on if we're talking like casual fan who'll catch a show if it's at the Allstate versus like somebody who would, we would consider a mark or a smark or whatever, and like ourselves, right? Like
Oh,
consuming,
never.
yeah, consuming, all forms of it. So being online, reading the tea, following all these wrestlers on social media, reviewing stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, yeah, I would just say I think there's more of those kinds of fans now. I think though that they're invested in the social media stuff and just kind of
Mm,
keeping up with a lot of that stuff rather than just going to the show and just seeing it on TV.
right.
Showing themselves how big of jabronis they really are.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the interesting thing that like Paul Heyman brought up, and I think like that kind of encapsulates how like the fans like look at it now. Like I don't think there are people in the crowd with like a pocket knife who are wanting to shank John Cena because he thinks he legitimately like is like, yeah, screw you guys, and the guy legitimately pissed off. Like,
September 5th.
yeah, so you know, like people aren't invested in. Well, I guess they didn't think it was an illusion, so I guess that wouldn't be the mindset. But people don't do that at shows
Right.
now. At least most shows, you have people sometimes who run into the ring and then they get beat up by wrestlers, like at the Hall of Fame when Bret Hart got tackled. But I mean, like that's a whole different story.
That's so
Um,
funny.
oh man, that was a great angle. I think like well, yeah, I'll talk about it later.
It's so funny.
But yeah, so like different angle. Like Paul Heyman was talking about like John Cena as a heel, for example, right? Like he's like it's so fascinating. He says because like the crowd knows their role when the cameras are on, they're booing them. They're like loud boos, like louder than anybody. Boos somebody. And there were a
The
number of times
words.
when John Cena was doing that as a heel, and then when the show ends and then he finished his match or whatever, he was at the last segment. Then everyone's like clapping, cheering for him. It's like we know, like we
Yeah, good
understand the
job.
role. Yeah, exactly. Like thank you for the performance, for
You got
for
us.
for contributing. Like for making us like enjoy these 2 or 3 hours that we're here. Like people get it. Like they're there to see a show. We're doing it because we want to participate, make some noise, get a reaction out of the wrestlers. Like it's fun. Like it's like uh, a thing that I talk about with like other folks who like we go to the Renaissance Fair, for example, right? And then these people like we go to the joust, and in the joust, you are in an audience and you are watching these guys on each corner, and they all have their stuff. Like they're not actually taking a joust and stabbing the guy in this fight to the death. Like no one's getting their head decapitated every single Sunday, right? Like we know it's a performance, but we enjoy it, and like the people that we would go lose themselves in the performance, like you're feeling something, but it's not real. Like I'm like that's basically what like wrestling is, what WWE is. It's the same thing. Like you enjoy this. This is very similar, except these guys are also like falling off ladders and like legit like going through tables and shit. um
Like people watching Love Island and just having all these conspiracy theories on TikTok and stuff. It's no
Right, exactly.
different,
No way.
ladies.
Yeah. Like I mean like reality TV. I mean that's another thing. Like it's there's an aspect of reality to it, but producers definitely put their thumb on the scale on a lot of it. Like it's not complete real competition because maybe they favor someone over the other person and make challenges in a certain way or whatever to get the outcome they want. Similar, very similar. And people don't care; they still watch it. They enjoy the drama or what person slept with this person. Um, so yeah, like for me personally, I don't mind the behind the scenes access because like even when when I was younger, even 2006, 7, I read books. Like I enjoyed like Bret Hart's 800-page book. Like that was great. I mean, all the documentaries and all that stuff. Um, it was just a part of like my enjoyment of the product was just like knowing how the actual wrestlers feel, and again, it also builds up to like these issues. Like the Summer of Punk was from real frustrations with the company. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. I mean, all these guys. There's like a element of reality to it that we think is interesting because like that affects what shows up on TV. Um, so yeah. So do you feel like the Disney-fication of WWE, as Heyman put it, do you feel like it's necessary for future growth, or do you feel like it erases too much of wrestling's gritty identity? Like, what do you think about that aspect?
I think I think it kind of in a weird way slices out a identity for somebody like AEW who can lean more into being more of the punk rock version or true wrestling kind of a show versus like in this case WWE has become this juggernaut of a company likened to like Disney or whatever. Um so I mean, it benefits WWE from a financial standpoint because they get all these deals and advertising and all this stuff. And obviously, at the end of the day, they are a company and companies are trying to make money. So this is their logical kind of thing. But it does make interesting cases for just wrestling in general. So,
Hmm. David, any thoughts?
WWE has turned into like its own subculture, like even in the wrestling world.
Hmm.
yeah.
So like they're because like also they just I think it's also just like the fact that they bought every library that exists that they could, and then like over the years it's like you can only have so many so many old episodes of like actual matches and cards to the point where it's like okay, like for example buying WCW, they picked up like a bunch of like interviews, biographies, and they like building onto that, and then with their new stars and everybody else, it's like how do they make them bigger?
Hmm.
That like they got so much invested in them to be in the top company that it's like, well, how do you make this? How do you present them better? Like, what do you do for this? What do you do for that? And
Yep.
I think like for example, like Total Divas and all that stuff, it gave people that like happen to be by the TV to watch wrestling. They're like, oh, they do this too. Like, okay, now I know why I root for Nikki Bella or something,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, and again, it makes them more interesting. Like they get like the Bellas, for example, like they would get like 10, 5 minutes of TV time, and then they had a dedicated 1 hour, or however long it was, 30-minute time slot to get this different aspect of their lives and their perspectives, even if it is maybe a little bit scripted too. I'm sure, it's
All of
another
John
angle.
Cena's stuff is actually scripted. He's not that weird.
Oh man, I gotta watch that shit. Because I've just seen clips too, but John Cena seemed wild in some of the clips that I've seen.
It's
Um,
like, yeah, this guy really is a robot.
yeah, I'm gonna miss him. But I think that's a wrap for this episode of the Chi-Town Shoot podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking out.